All right, howdy friends. There's a little look into one of the songs we just cut with Uncle Larry. Now, I didn't play every part of that perfectly. I also changed the sections up just a little bit, so not giving away the entire thing. So when you hear this, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Really excited about this record that we're doing. Always proud to be on the short list when people call to do things like this. Like, Tom's a good friend, and we love making music together. But to be on, you know, just to get to do the things that I get to do, man, I'm so grateful. And it is like living a dream. You wake up and you go, man, is this really for real? Like, getting to play with all my heroes and all this stuff. And so, man, just a lot of gratitude here as we roll into the holiday season. Hope you guys are doing good. If you did watch the last couple videos ago on Tom's channel with him and Greg Voros, that is a very special one, and you need to watch that all the way through if you haven't already. There's some pretty special stuff going on there, and heart goes out to Greg. He's a great guy. All that being said, just rocking along here in Nashville. Me and Oates are leaving on the 7th to go to San Francisco to play for the headquarters of YouTube. That's going to be cool. And then I'm playing Rudy's Jazz Room on the 10th. Then we got the Book Show with me and Jed as special guests on December 20th. And that's sold out. So hopefully a lot of you guys are coming down to see that. Anyway, there's a little look into how we write these tunes, you know, just trying to come up with something that makes you feel something, and some interesting parts. You know, I love that little rolling part, you know, this little thing. The first, this first part is very kind of, I guess you'd say, Mixolydian, which you'll never hear me say that, but this little major third, open D, pretty cool sound. And then the B section, just G, I'm just using one finger, right? G. Very simple riff, but when you put a couple little effects on there, it really sounds cool with the track. So this part, just G, third to the 4, flat 7, G, and that builds right into the entrance of the A section again. Then I've got the low E string tuned down to D. Everything else is standard. So then you get to this section, and I'm just using 2 fingers and holding down this D, A-shaped D, and letting the G string ring over everything. So it goes. First part. So this is like an F to a C, if you can see that. B minor, C, D. So I'm I'm just holding down. It doesn't ever leave the A and the D string. And then the last part, great chord that Uncle Larry came up with. It's just a D, and then that's an F, right? Very cool. So I'm going to get into some other stuff, but I want to show you a little bit of that, how we kind of come up with writing some of these tunes. And then, of course, there's some blistering solo sections in there that we go into. But anyway, so I wanted to share a little something with you here. There's so much to talk about, you know, all the cool stuff going on in Nashville. You've heard all that. Monday nights at Thunderdog would be incredible. The East Nashville Guitar Club is going gangbusters. We've done the second jam last Sunday. It was fantastic. Lots of guys coming out. We had 35 people each time show up to sign up and jam. Everybody gets to play. It's just an amazing thing that's growing here. And so if you haven't checked out the East Nashville Guitar Club on Instagram, definitely do that. Check the links below for all the lesson sales and stuff going on for the holidays. I'm doing 10% off all lessons, excluding the immersion experiences, which are full days and multiple days. So there's, if you do the GT10, that's a 10% off. That's our little code. And so a little sales pitch there, but moving right along. All this stuff comes down to, and I was noticing at the jam session, a lot of these guys that are getting up, they get on stage. We've got the amps set the way they're playing through our gear, our amps and our pedal boards. And so we've got everything set the way we like it, you know, like nice, clean, fat tone on the amp, and then incorporate pedals in sequentially. So it's like a stair step. It's a nice incremental addition each time you're adding something, even with delay and tremolo. Nothing should jump volume wise. And so it's like clean amp, fat, nice sound with some reverb. Then maybe the boost, RC booster, just to boost it up a little bit, not drastic changes, because that changes the dynamic of the music. So little RC booster, add it in a little bit. Then maybe the overdrive of your choice, but not a lot of gain. This stuff needs to be kind of natural and organic to where you step on the pedal. It's almost more of a felt thing than it is drastic, oh my God, he just went to like a whole different sound. And so that is the way I like to do it, and a lot of other guys that I know. And that just keeps everything nice and smooth and the right levels and everything. The other thing you don't want to do is have your overdrive pedal turned up to where the gain is real saturated, and then you end up losing the punch that you're looking for. So you think that because it's distorted, it needs to be down, but it needs to be clean amp, then a little bit of boost, and then your overdrive is just a little bit louder. You don't want it to decrease in volume either, because you are trying to keep the energy up. So all these things. And then when guys are getting up to play rhythm behind another guitar player, they're getting up on our gear, like I was about to say, and they're turning all the pedals on. So you've got all this overdrive super loud. We're controlling a lot of the dynamics with our right hand. So you wouldn't get up and start banging out loud distorted rhythm behind another guitar player when he's playing something. And so these are like these subtle dynamic things that we need to really be focused on. And this comes from time and experience and listening and hearing a lot of music and being in a lot of live musical situations, which is, I'm very lucky to have grown up playing in a lot of those situations. So you kind of learn. You might have somebody yell at you a couple times before it really sinks in. But eventually you start getting really in tune and sensitive to these dynamics that really make music draw you in the way that we want, very much like language in a conversation. Like right now, I'm talking too much. So, but then getting to some of the other stuff I've been working on these videos lately about melody and how none of this has to be complicated. The major scale alone there's a million things you can do, but each one of these notes, like in a D scale, D down, but it's the same thing. The major scale, each one of these chord tones, the fifth, the third, and the root, these are all places we can start playing melodically. And each one of these notes takes on a different melodic content and harmonic content when we put a different chord underneath it. That's why playing something like this, if I just went, you know, okay, that's just all D, right? Because you're not hearing any other information. But if I went, you know, or actually, so that's why the chords and the triads and stuff are so important, because the notes and the lead playing that everybody wants to be able to do, it's all in. It's not just about visualizing the chords and knowing the chord shapes and all that stuff. Of course, that's important, but that's like bottom level fundamentals. What we want to be able to do is have those muscle memory and shapes under our fingers. Of course, that's important. Hand position, that all is going to help. But really, it comes down to, like, if I'm starting on, it comes down to listening, as you know, 90% listening and the rest knowing the fundamentals of the fretboard. And so we gotta flip it to where we're focusing on listening way more than we're just looking, and that's when music's gonna start to happen. And of course, rhythm and groove and all that stuff goes along with it too. I'll get into that in just a second, but this is gonna be a pretty helpful video, I'm hoping, because I'm really gonna get into the stuff that sometimes I just kind of blow over. But like playing a D chord, I'm putting the A on the very top. So that's like your D shape here. There's the A on the high E string. So if I go, and then I go, bum, 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 bum. Well, that E note is the second. It's not going to sound right if a D is in the bass, right? So, but if I do this, now it's becoming a chord tone of the A chord. So, right here's D. Same thing. Fifth, 4, 3 of the D, and then 5, 4, 3 of the A. Meaning the fifth, the fourth, the third, the 2, the 1, all degrees of the scale, but looking at the individual chord, D. So here, you can do it with an open chord. It doesn't have to be this closed one. I think that sounds better on the electric guitar, but if you go, now you're getting somewhere. Now, let me get, you did a little bit better there. So watch this. So this is my point. There's your melody. Major third of that. Now that B note in D, the sixth, becomes the major third of the G. That's almost too confusing right there to say that, because all you're doing is just playing the G chord, and that becomes your melody note. So that's the thing. If I just went like this, there's really no melody in there. But if I go, that starts sounding a lot more like music. Okay, so I hope you're with me on this, because this is really kind of getting into the stuff that I'm not supposed to be giving away for free on YouTube. That's a joke. But this is the kind of stuff like deep. If you do it, I got to promote the lessons. So if you want to do a private lesson or artist works or any kind of stuff, this is the kind of stuff that I really break down, that takes, 2 hours of solid video content of just really breaking these things apart. I mean, this is where it really gets heavy, because this is the difference between just playing scales and arpeggios, and this is where it kind of lifts off into actually, being able to connect some lines and some melodies. Another thing that I usually, and even that right there is just a scratch of the surface of what, we can do with this. It's like this kind of thing here. So what I'm saying is leading this like, you know, like that's a nice melody, but it sounds way better when you put the chords under it. Then up to E minor. Just take those chords. E minor, D, G. Watch this. You're starting to hear it. So if I just played this E minor like, you know, it sounds okay, but it's not, you're not, the tighter the voicings, you really start hearing how these, each one of these degrees of the chord, the fifth, the root, the minor third, the fifth, the root, the major third, the root, the third, the fifth, each one of these movements all the way up the neck in these different inversions has different harmonic content, and it sounds different, and it's telling somebody different information. So this, even this little thing. So, or, that's all up to you. But the more familiar you get with these inversions and the triads and stuff like that, you know, let's see, those are the same chords, but a whole different melodic content. Right here, you can do this. Right? So this is the kind of stuff that I'm saying. It doesn't have to be complicated. This is not complicated stuff. This is just knowing a little bit of what you're doing and being able to know the chords enough to where you can start really extracting the most musicality out of these simple concepts. This is really what it comes down to. It's having fun with it and really listening to these melodies and taking simple chords. Okay, then E minor. I'm gonna do it one more time. G up to E. I'll go up to A. Then back to this. Oh, sorry. Now those aren't easy. These are these drop chords or whatever they call them. It's just B minor, A, D. But I'm doing this. D again, G. Oh, I'm trying to do this. A, but I'm... I think you're starting to get the picture of what I'm explaining anyway. But, so that's the idea. You know, and don't forget, I mean, just to have fun with this and don't overthink it too much, because it's the answer to everything that you're looking for is in the chord shape somewhere. And then don't forget, when you sit down to practice, just have some accountability of what you're doing. It's all about creating a vibe. I mean, so if I sit down and play something kind of pretty like this, you know, I'm going to light touch, you know. I'm going off the reservation there, but I'm still keeping it in the vibe of, now I'm not playing a chord progression there. I'm kind of just free-flowing, but it's in the D major vein, kind of that. I'm not going randomly into some pentatonic that I don't know what it is, or out in a different key, or into a minor pentatonic, which would be the complete wrong thing to do. So it's all about creating a vibe. This is a vibe. If I do this, or whatever. But I'm saying, so that's like immediately you go, oh yeah, that's like swampy drop D, kind of, you know, Chris Stapleton world or whatever, however you want to categorize it. But then, you know, if you, my point is when you sit down to play something, try to create a vibe off the bat. If it's just playing an A major chord, well, actually, you don't want to hit that high E string, but like if you play your A major chord, just try to stay in there for 5 minutes. Nothing complicated. Then maybe go to like E minor. Okay, then maybe go to A7. Back to E minor. Sorry. Maybe go to D. A. Back to E. Just try to have some sort of a vibe to hold yourself accountable. It doesn't have to be always to a metronome. It doesn't always have to be to a chord progression, although those are all great ways of practicing. I would just try to maybe put a practice plan together where you're kind of compartmentalizing a few of these things so you're not just getting overwhelmed with what to do. So there's a little bit of a lesson. I know I'm kind of running kind of random here, but I wanted to get into this major scale and how coming up with these lines, you know, each one of these scale degrees can mean something different depending on what chord is associated with those. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It could be one chord. It could be a 1 to a 4 to a 5. Those all have great, you know, melodic possibilities. Anyway, that being said, I know this is not going to be a super long video either, but thanks for everything, guys. All the channel's growing nicely. There's a lot of great comments. We've weeded out a lot of riffraff. And so really appreciate you guys. Happy holiday season to you. I know it's getting chilly out there. And just thank you guys so much, man. This is a great community we've got here. Check out the East Nashville Guitar Club on Instagram. And other than that, if there's any new news coming in that I forgot, I'll do another video here in a few days. All right, guys. Thanks a bunch. See ya.